Okay, there were other, we'll discuss, we'll do that down below, I guess. Discussion on the zoning map and information distributed and recommendation on a motion. I had sent you information that we had received on planning and zoning training from Regional Council of Governments in the fall of 2006, the Iowa State University Extension. And that's a pretty short synopsis, guys, because there's a whole bunch of training there that we went through. Once again, there are always two pieces to a zoning ordinance, a zoning text and a zoning map. One cannot operate without the other, and both must be kept current at all times. The zoning text and map are legally binding regulations. Few things will bring a community more trouble than out-of-date zoning documents. It is unreasonable to produce a text or a map every 3 months and even every year because of the cost incurred in producing these, public hearings and notices and so forth. Zoning can be accurately described as a comprehensive assignment of compatible land uses to define districts throughout the community. In addition to regulating uses, zoning controls the placement, height, bulk, and the coverage of the structures within each of the districts to which the community is divided by the zoning map. Like I said, I just picked out some of the things that pertain to the zoning map and the spot zoning and things that were involved. So I know all of you didn't take the training, but some of you did. Some of you were there. So, and the codes are listed there and everything else. But most plans provide direction for future activities for 10 to 20 years from its adoption. It's suggested that this plan be updated every 5 years to keep up with changing conditions in the community. According to everything that I have, our comprehensive plan was done in 2003, and we've been working on this since. So we're behind. And
I brought a copy of that if anyone wants to see it. It's got maps in it and whatever.
I printed one off, there's 91 pages. I didn't print one out for everyone, but if you'd like to read a copy, you can borrow mine or borrow Adam's. So,
Well, probably for your purposes, what you would probably want people to see would be the two maps, because it shows what interest in. There's two maps.
I didn't have those, I guess, when they sent it to me electronically, so I didn't have those.
One of the advantages of having one map.
The one that you found, yeah, one that you knew that was there. Because I knew there was one, but I didn't know where it was, and I didn't have a copy, so.
Once you pass that around, put the two maps out.
So we're open for discussion.
Is this the current map, the most current one we have?
This map here is the one that we considered at the public hearing. This map here is, for the most part, the current one with some post-it notes on it that basically I can just pull those off and that will give you the...
Like after we talked with George and Bonnie last time, I mean, are there notes about them on this?
No, those
No.
post-it notes were what the board decided when we printed the next
Oh, I
map.
see,
Yeah,
okay.
that's all that was.
Well, we've talked a few times, so I think if we can meet around the map.
Sure, that's why I got them out. I figured somebody would George.
And this is you.
And this is that you wrote, the proposed one that you considered
I
last
think it's easy to see on this side. Well, I think we've come up to what I think is a pretty agreeable change here. Okay, so I think at the other meeting, we pretty much all agreed that this, A1 was fine in this area. And this is kind of our area we're talking about. And George and Bonnie, and I think this is where I want your input, I think it was this line that you were agreeable with also, you two. So you changed to residential. Not seeing any real reason, because nothing's going to happen back here. Same thing as you discussed here.
Yeah, there's a possibility, that we could sell more lots in this area here, which we would be willing to do, if there's a reason for it. We're not willing to sell anything here. I'm not saying we wouldn't back here, but, at this point, looking in the future, I don't know if you're going to need that many lots anyway. And that, if you develop this, that'd have to be a subdivision in its own right anyway, probably. If that would happen, that would mean you're getting some big industry or something that really requires some building. So, and as I've said, we've already done the work in this area. If there's ever a need for a major development. But at this point, Les would hope that it would come up in 4 or 5 years, that there'd be some need for it. But we would be willing to go along with this, and I think that must be going back here 400 to 500 feet.
This is the back of your lot.
Yeah,
right here.
that's the
I mean,
back
of
of-
their.
That's where the field starts here.
Yeah, they reflect outlots, I believe, or they were.
Now, this is outlot 10, 11, and 12 in this area here.
What do you mean by we've done the work? What did you mean here? You said we've done.
Well, we've had that set up for subdivision.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yeah, we did that in the 70s, and the council approved it at that time, but things didn't work out, so we didn't do it. And of course, we looked at this 4 or 5 years ago, can't remember now, when Beggin was here.
It's not quite that long now.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's not 4 or 5.
But the cost of developing, a subdivision, I think at that time it was gonna cost $28,000 or $9,000 a lot without any land cost. So, that kind of shoots a hole in everything. And then to put up that much money, and you can't sell lots that fast here. I mean, I think you'd be lucky to sell enough lots to cover the interest in the money. And that's one of the reasons why we didn't do this back in the 70s. We wouldn't have had any trouble selling these timber lots. In fact, we had those pretty well spoken for.
What is this little strange piece
Well,
of property?
that was a place that Bonnie and I were going to build a house back in the 70s and early 80s. Dad deeded that off to us at that time.
Just wasn't square, I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was.
Well, this followed the creek. more or less.
Okay.
There's a creek down there.
And that's the reason why that's, and of course, I think you're all aware we deeded part of this to the country club here.
What is that?
That's 1 and 2, holes 1 and 2.
Wonder how come that doesn't show up on the map?
I don't know. Well,
Well, it's
it's
because it
zoned
was-
that way, it wouldn't,
That's true, because A1 can be a golf course.
And so
Maybe
can,
they-
and so can
And
residential.
so can
yeah.
residential, right. So it
But
doesn't
anyway,
matter.
this is what we'd like you to consider doing, and this would alleviate any problems we'd have, in selling the lots in the future. Even though I know that probably because it's contiguous, you can spot zone it, but if it would help, make it easier, we'd be willing to do that. And leave the rest the way it is.
Because what do you see, okay, what do you see as the harm to you?
I
If-
don't see any harm at this point, but how
Okay.
do I know what's gonna happen down the road 4 or 5 years from now?
Meaning what?
Meaning if it's zoned residential rather than agriculture.
What is
Meaning
maybe?
what? What do you think, I don't
I
understand.
don't have any idea. You tell me,
It's just all the regulations, I mean, we've had discussions, so
Mm-hmm.
just because of all the regulation changes with water,
Sewer,
sewer,
whatever.
septic tanks, everything.
And who knows
They're a
what-
little gun shy about what's coming with more government regulation.
And who's
So,
It's
and who
here.
knows?
It's
I know
here.
It's here, but
Yeah.
it's gonna get worse. I mean,
And
and I said, I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know what it's gonna be.
If
either,
you redo all of this, you're taking 120 acres of our farmland for residential.
We're not taking it anywhere.
You're changing it to residential.
And it's a
For
farm.
pot,
It's
yeah.
it's agriculture, and that's the way it's gonna be in at least the near future. It isn't gonna change. It absolutely is not gonna change to residential.
So what harm do you see to the people that own this property then?
I don't care about them up there. I'm not concerned with them. I'm
Okay.
concerned about me, Shirley.
Okay?
And what harm do you see leaving it as agricultural?
I just wanted to know why you thought it was going to harm you for us to change it to
I
a
don't
possible
think it is.
residential.
That's
so-
what I can see that it is gonna harm us, but I don't know what might happen. All I know is it's working fine the way it is. I see no reason to change it. If there is reason to have it done residential, okay, but I can't see any reason to zone residential. It's agriculture land.
So over the next 10 years, if you sell off all the lots that you want to sell in this particular property, and then you might want to sell other lots, then you would come back to us and want us to rezone it, is what
The
you're
only
saying.
way, the only way this would be rezoned if you could put in a big development. Then I think you'd do it. But I can't see that in the foreseeable future around here.